and running in 1890. They were powered by electric storage batteries and were supposed to have enough power to run for almost 50 kilometres. Unfortunately, they couldn't cope with Bendigo's hills and could barely make it out to the suburb of Eaglehawk before needing to be towed back to the depot by horse. As a result, the battery company closed down after only 13 weeks. In 1892, steam trams were brought in and the old battery trams were converted into trailers for them to tow. Finally, in 1903, electric trams were introduced and have been running ever since. Electric trams still had the odd dilemma.
It wasn't uncommon for trams to derail back then, especially at the loops if the driver was over enthusiastic. As long as one set of wheels stayed in contact with the rails, the tram still had power and could usually be maneuvered back onto the rails. If all the wheels lost contact, well, that was another story altogether.
At the end of World War II, new trams were introduced. The first of the new double bogie cars, meaning the trams had two four-wheeler trucks underneath. Even though they were second-hand cars from Melbourne, the trammies thought they were a gift from heaven, a luxury, compared to the old four-wheelers.
We rang the bell at regular intervals to let people know the tram was coming. It was running along the street with a piece of toast on it. They raced together in the tram. It didn't matter what road you were on, you knew all these people. It was a real community.
We're about to turn into Nolan Street. This section of track was added during World War II to take workers by tram to the Commonwealth Ordnance Factory in North Bendigo. World War II reduced the number of men available to work to such an extent that the tramways was forced to offer conductor positions to women. By the end of the war, there were 22 women employed on the trams. However, they had to relinquish their positions when the men returned from service. Next stop, Lake Waroona.
Nice weather for ducks.
As we cross the Bendigo Creek, you'll notice that the bed of the creek is paved with bluestone. Over 100 years ago, the city councillors were forced to pave the creek in order to prevent slime and mud choking it and inundating the city, as a result of thousands of miners using their puddling machines further up the valley. We are now turning into Brink Street, a street rich in history. The area behind us, near the Golden Dragon Museum, used to be the centre of Bendigo's very own Chinatown. During the gold rush, thousands of Chinese walked almost 500 kilometres to Bendigo after first arriving in Rome on the South Australian coast. The ship's captains did this to avoid paying the £10 tax levied by the Victorian government on every Chinese person arriving at a Victorian port. Sadly, the Chinese were continually subjected to unfair discrimination such as this during the early years of the gold rush. Next stop, Clyson's Reef Precinct. If you're getting off here, pull the left-hand bell cord once. We are now passing the Tyson's Reef Hotel. Tyson's Reef is one of 17 quartz reefs that run beneath the city in a roughly south to north direction, covering an area 16 kilometres long and 4 kilometres wide. In excess of 5,000 shafts were sunk throughout the mining history of Bendigo, which represents the largest concentration of deep shafts anywhere in the world. We're now heading into Caledonia Street, which leads to the former Commonwealth Ordnance Factory, or TARS as it's known today. It was built during the Second World War and is a world leader in defence, aerospace and ground transportation solutions. The tramways were used to provide special services to bring workers from all parts of Bendigo to the factory. During the war, the work was top secret, and all sorts of weapons for the forces in Europe and the islands were manufactured here. Since the war, the factory has continued its role, manufacturing the Bushmaster tank, an armoured patrol and combat support vehicle. These highly reliable vehicles serve with distinction in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other areas of conflict. Next stop is the Bendigo Joss House Temple. This Chinese place of worship was constructed in the 1870s and is one of the few remaining original buildings of its type in Australia. It is constructed with locally handmade bricks and painted red, symbolising happiness, strength and vitality. The Joss House remains a place of worship and is regularly visited by worshippers who travel quite some distance to pay their respects to Guandi, the god of war and prosperity, to whom the temple is dedicated. Check with the driver or conductor about the Joss House opening hours.